All right, we're going to work today on navigating Google. And when you sign on to your Chromebook, you're going to come to a screen that looks vaguely like this. The background might be different, the picture might be different here, but you're still going to have the search bar and some icons along the bottom that will be a little different than mine to choose from. And so, depending on what you're going to do, you would either come up to what we call the waffle, which is this little symbol right here, kind of looks like a waffle, and you click it open, and when you do, you have all of your Google apps that you can go to and use for school. And you will notice that you have some of these symbols in different places on your computer than I have them, but they're all still here. If you have these symbols, then you can use them. This Google Docs right here is how you type anything that you would like to write and then either share with me or print. You have your Gmail symbol, which is the red M on a white envelope, and that takes you to your email. You have the regular search button. So if you were somewhere else, let's say in one of these two places, and you realized you needed to come over here and do a search real quick, you could get back there by clicking the search button. And then the other symbol that you're going to be using quite often is down here on my screen. This is the Classroom, the Google Classroom site. So you would click on that to get to your Google Classroom. Now, you can't see all of your symbols sometimes, so you may have to use the scroll button on the side to drag down. Okay. Another one that you're going to be using is Jamboard, which I am going to teach you separately what that is, and Forms. And Forms is where you can answer questions or take quizzes that I send to you. So you may not have the purple Forms symbol, I'm not sure, but you'll be able to access it when I send it to you to take quizzes. And then one more that I wanted to share with you is Slides, Google Slides. I'm not sure if you used these last year or not, but these are really fun to create and type into, and sometimes you'll even do work on slides that I share with you. So that's just a very quick overview of some of the Google apps that you have that you'll use. We may use the calendar at some point, but we won't be right away. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Google Docs. And so I'd like everybody to go ahead and do that. Click on Google Docs, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video so that you can go ahead and do that work. Okay, once you get to your Google Docs homepage, this is where all of your documents are stored from last year, this year. We'll add more to that. So anything you've ever typed on Google Docs at Helen Thompson School, or actually in the district, even if you didn't go to the school, if you went to Pittston or Randolph, or if you were a student at LER or Riverview, then you would see anything that you had created or typed down here. Okay, these are some of the options that you can use if you would like to use something that's already been set up for you, but we don't generally use those. We normally come right here to the blank document, and we click on this blank document to start something new. Go ahead now and click on the blank document, pause the video, and then do the work. Okay, so here I am. I just clicked on that blank document so that I could come to this page. This is a brand new, fresh Google Docs that I can type into. So a Google Doc is really just a fun way of saying something we're going to type. Okay, it's a piece of writing that's waiting to happen. Now, in my classroom, before you get all excited and start typing things, we have to do something first. We have to come up here to the Untitled document. Right here, it says Untitled document. That's your title line. This is where you're going to name whatever it is you plan to do here. So we're going to call this Practice Doc, D-O-C, Doc. And that's short for document, okay? So practice doc is what we're going to call this. Go ahead and pause the video and then type that name into the title bar. Okay, go ahead and do that work. All right, now that you have typed practice doc into the title line, you're going to come down here to your nice fresh piece of paper waiting for you to write. And I'm going to go over some rules with you, and I want you to pay close attention to these rules. Okay, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do today is to leave this font alone. And the reason that I'm asking you to do that, I don't want you to click on anything, I just want you to watch, is that if you open up all of these font choices, there are some really fun ones in here. And you will be able to use them at some point. But while we're getting ready to just do basic classwork that you're turning into Ms. Hanley that doesn't need to look super special, you're going to leave it just where it is on Arial. Okay, so we're always going to leave our font on Arial unless Ms. Hanley says something different. Okay, the next thing you're always going to do is you're going to come up here to your font size. It's already set to whatever it might be. For me, it's 11. For you, it might be 12. It might be 14. I am going to ask you to make it 14 each and every time if I don't tell you anything differently. You can assume that it should be 14. The reason I ask you to put it on 14 is that it's much easier for Ms. Hanley with her old lady eyes to read your writing if you have it in a good, decent size, so that when I'm looking at things at home and squinting at my screen, I can see it, okay? And so now that you've left Arial alone and you've changed it to 14, you are not going to change or adjust anything else with what your writing will look like. You aren't going to bold anything. You aren't going to change the color of the text. You're going to leave everything alone. And the next thing you do is you're going to type in your name. So let me show you what that looks like before you pause the video and try it yourself. Just watch first. Okay. And then I hit return or enter. And that's it. I'm going to ask you to put your last initial for the meantime, just as I'm getting used to your last names and learning them. It will help me, especially if you are a kiddo in the classroom that shares a name with a friend. I have a couple of you, so if you make sure that you have your last initial, then I'll know for sure who it is. The other thing that I ask you to do is I ask you to put the date into, or right underneath your name, into the document. So I'm going to pause the video, and I want you to pause the video and just type your name first, and then we'll get to the date after. Go ahead and do that work. Okay, so now you have your name. You're going to type in the date. I can find the date up here by my time. If I'm not sure, it's Monday, and it's 9:55 a.m., but I don't know what day it is. It's, oh, look, right there, September 7th. So that's one little tricky way that I can find the date on my computer. I'm not sure if that works on Chromebooks. But it's worth looking at to see if possible. If you're working in the classroom, I usually have the date somewhere on one of the whiteboards, so you can always look up and check them. Okay, so I have my date, I have my name. I'm going to pause the video while you go ahead now and put your date on your page. You go ahead and pause and then do the work. Perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to hit enter or return. Whoops. Enter or return 2 times so that I have a little space in between where I just was. Okay? And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do my practice doc work that Ms. Hanley has assigned us, and that is to write what it is you should do on a Google document when you open it and you get ready to type, insofar as what you have learned. Okay, let's review one more time. When you open the Google Doc, the first thing you do is you come up here and you rename your document. Whatever it is Ms. Hanley's told you to rename it, or whatever you think is a good name if she didn't. So you rename the document. The second thing you do is you leave the font alone, but you change the size to 14 if you need to. The third thing you do is you put your name with your last name's initial, and then you hit return or enter and put the date. And then you hit return 2 more times. At that point, you'll be ready to start your assignment. So how many things were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the great thing about a video is that you can replay the video. If you can't remember what the steps were or what the jobs were that you were supposed to do while you were learning that in a video, you replay the video. Sometimes we can remember that the video was telling us information we needed at the very beginning, and so we can go there. Sometimes we can drag the little line down here at the bottom that tells us where we are in the video back about halfway if we thought that we learned the information about halfway through the video. Or if we thought that we were toward the end of the video, we can drag the time bar to closer to the end of the video. It's a good thing to pay attention, at least, if you tend to get distracted when you watch a video, that's okay. But try to remember at least where about was I when I learned about that particular thing in the video. And if you can do that, that will help you find it later so you don't have to rewatch the entire video. But if you do, you do. Okay? Good learners persevere, they use patience, they have stamina. That means that they do what it takes as long as it takes to get the job done. If you need to take a break, if you need to ask for help, those are all perfectly fine things to do to help yourself, but we don't give up, right? We use our positive mindset strategies to overcome frustration, okay? So do your best. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and I'm going to tell you one more time before I do that what the directions were. You needed to list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the steps when it comes to opening and starting a new Google Doc.